Hi everybody, Jake here. Hope everyone's doing well today. Really looking forward to this video. Guardians just began their spring training and I wanted to give a little season preview, kind of my thoughts going into this season. So let's go ahead and jump into this. The Guardians made a couple offseason transactions, trading Andres Gimenez to the Toronto Blue Jays for Luis Ortiz. It ended up being Luis Ortiz. And then Josh Naylor was traded to the Diamondbacks for Slade Cecconi, former first-round pick. So I was initially so against these deals when they happen, but now I understand more with the money situation. We know how the Guardians are. They really don't pay anybody. They don't give out big time contracts. Andres Gimenez's contract was beginning to become an eyesore to look at just with the production you get off the bat. He is a platinum glover, however. So you give and you take. And then Josh Naylor, he was expecting a contract extension, and the age and factoring all that in with Josh Naylor, it kind of made sense for them to offload Josh Naylor. To counteract those moves, they brought in Carlos Santana. He essentially is going to fit in where Josh Naylor was at first base. And you get a little better defense with Carlos Santana being a gold glover. So those are the transactions over the offseason. And then they also re-signed Shane Bieber, but we won't see him until later in the season with the Tommy John and John Means. They also signed him too. We won't see him probably even after Bieber. He'll probably be similar to what Matthew Boyd was this year to the Guardians, kind of a late regular season then playoff push guy. Initially, whenever the Guardians made these moves, I was really frustrated with the organization because you're 3 wins away from the World Series. You were just in the American League Championship Series with the Yankees, and you're offloading all your veteran talent. I was very frustrated with them at the time, but the Guardians do this. They lose every offseason and then they win every regular season. So I'm going to give the front office guys the benefit of the doubt in this one, that they're going to put a good product on the field for us. So I also didn't add in, the Guardians also had the #1 pick and drafted Travis Bazzana. He's also going to be a second baseman for you. You likely won't see him until later in the season also. I can't imagine he's going to be a day one starter for this team, but that takes me to my next point. Let's talk lineup in this one. My expected lineup for the Guardians I've kind of battled with, but it's going to look something like this. You're going to have Steven Kwan batting leadoff, Kyle Manzardo at your 2-hole, Jose in the 3, Carlos Santana at the 4, Lane Thomas at the 5. You could even flip Lane Thomas and Manzardo with the 2 and the 5. I think that would make a lot of sense. Brennan at your 6, 7 is going to be Bo Naylor, 8 is going to be one of Arias, Brito, and then 9 is going to be Rocchio, and you're likely just going to platoon based off matchup. John Kenzie Noel, Tyler Freeman, Gabriel Arias. To kind of piggyback this lineup thing off of what they did with Gimenez and Naylor in the offseason, the Guardians are going to be expecting big jumps out of guys like Kyle Manzardo and Bo Naylor, Tyler Freeman, Jay Honk, and Gabriel Arias. We'll see if we ever get anything out of him. I feel like Gabriel Arias has been here for 10 years, and we've just been like, yeah, it's all there, but it never pans out. So, and Rocchio even too. So trading away this veteran talent that the Guardians had, they're going to be expecting big jumps out of some of the younger guys on the roster. So I'll really be looking for that this year. We've seen a lot out of Brian Rocchio regular at the end of the regular season and in the playoffs last year, similarly to Lane Thomas, where he really balled out in the playoffs. And so far, he had a great game in their second Cactus League game today in Arizona. They played against the Angels. They won like 14-2. It was nuts. But Rocchio had a great game in that one. So I'll be looking for a lot of improvement from the younger talent on the Guardians, and that's why I've kind of made sense of the offseason moves with the lineup with Gimenez and Naylor. I've made a lot more sense of it now that this Guardians team can compete if these guys improve over the offseason. The starting pitching rotation for the Guardians, this offseason they've really made a strength even stronger. Going into this season, they're really going to be reliant on good pitching like they always are. We know what we get with the Cleveland Guardians. So it's going to be, Bibby's going to be your ace with Bieber battling back from the Tommy John. You're going to have Luis Ortiz likely be your 2, Gavin Williams, Ben Lively, and Triston McKenzie. We'll see how things pan out over the regular season. I'm curious to see if Gavin Williams takes a jump, if Triston McKenzie gets back to the guy that we know he can be. And we'll see how this starting rotation changes, but I feel great about the Guardians starting rotation going into the season. And then their bullpen is the nastiest bullpen in baseball. They add Sewald to this great bullpen, and then they have Tim Herrin, Cade Smith, Hunter Gaddis, Clase, Sabrowski, Walters, and Ciccone gonna all be out of the pen. They have the best bullpen in baseball. This rotation and this bullpen is not something I'm going to be worried about for the Guardians going into next year. I have concerns about the lineup. I have no concern about the rotation or the bullpen, barring injury. Injury always is a cause for concern if you get to that point, but the rotation in the pen is not something I'm particularly worried about for the Guardians. I think it'll carry them to a lot of wins this season and can take them over their expected win total. To discuss some concerns I have for this Guardians team, it's mostly with the lineup, with the batting. The Guardians got a lot of good stuff last year out of guys like David Fry. We saw his, I mean, that was like a Jeremy Lin insanity beginning of the season, actually whole season, because he did slow down a little bit towards the end of the year, but you got things out of David Fry, and everybody just seemed to elevate, and it was like this Guardians team had some magic in it, that everybody was just performing so much better than we ever could have expected. And this season, I just worry that we're going to come back down to earth a little bit. For as bad as of a bat as Andres Gimenez was, I just worry losing a guy like him, a platinum glover. I just worry about what that's like at second base, and if this causes more concern at the second base position and causes more issues at the second base position. If you have Gabriel Arias play second base, and it's the same Gabriel Arias that we always get, and then you bring up Brito and say Juan Brito doesn't pan out, then what? Then are you know that the Guardians fans are going to be calling for Travis Bazzana earlier in the season, then you probably should bring him up. So I could just see, I could talk myself into a lot of problems with this lineup. It's not great on paper. Kwan being your leadoff, you're good there, but Manzardo, will he take the leap? Can he play a full season with the team? Are you going to get it out of Lane Thomas? What is Will Brennan going to look like? What are these platoon guys going to look like? We got great production out of Jay Long and Tyler Freeman last year, but will that carry over? That is just my biggest concern with the Guardians going into this season. But say you do get improvement. Say Kyle Manzardo is the guy that you traded for all those years ago, and maybe he could even be an all-star caliber player. Say Lane Thomas picks up where he left off last season. Say Bo Naylor takes that leap, and he's your everyday catcher, and you don't have to worry about the Hedges thing and fitting him in there based on matchup. And say all that happens, then you have nothing to worry about because this starting rotation and this bullpen is so good. But those are just my concerns for the Guardians going into this year. I just think this lineup has a lot of questions right now, but we'll get answers pretty quickly, I think, going into next season. I should also bring up in this video, the Guardians also play in one of the most competitive divisions in baseball now, with the Tigers on the rise. That seems like a new rivalry brewing between them. The Royals, we battle with the Royals, and then we know what we get with the Twins. I mean, I hate the Twins. Whenever we play them, they drive me nuts. So, and then the White Sox, we don't got to worry about them. But the Guardians now are also in a more competitive division than they've been in the last couple of years. So, a lot of questions going into this season. Like I said, I think we'll get the answers to them pretty quick. We'll see how this Guardians team shapes up compared to the talent in this division. So those are my thoughts on this one. I'm not going to give any bold predictions at this point. We'll probably do another video later on giving some predictions going into the season as spring training shapes up and everything, and we get closer to opening day. But I'm counting down the days to opening day. Guardians baseball is my favorite. I just love the summertime. I love going out to the ballpark, so it should be really exciting. Let me know your guys' thoughts on this one. Let me know your guys' thoughts for the Guardians going into this season. As always, I appreciate you guys for watching. Go Guards, baby.